head softball coach at Baldwin-Wallace University, Tom Spencer. Coach, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks
Welcome to the program.
Man. Appreciate it, man.
First and foremost, Coach, how excited are you to finally get the season started? You're going to be heading out to Tucson here in a few days, right?
Always excited. We're headed out to Tucson on Saturday. We're going to play next week from Monday through Friday, 10 games in those 5 days, and we're looking forward to it. We'll get out there Saturday evening. We're actually flying to Phoenix, drive down to Tucson. We'll practice on Sunday and play on Monday.
Coach, how much of an opportunity is this to not only get out in the good weather and actually be able to get games in without having to worry about getting snowed out in Northeast Ohio, but from a competitive standpoint and just a chemistry standpoint, how vital are these trips where you get to go somewhere with your team and you're embedded for a week and you get the opportunity to learn about your players and they get an opportunity to build that chemistry amongst themselves?
It's interesting you ask that because number one, obviously, from a competitive standpoint, we want to play games, get ready for conference season. You can't do that back here. So we get an opportunity to get out there and play 10 games, and then we'll have a couple other non-conference games when we get back before conference. But from a team chemistry standpoint, it is crucial. You have teams, the fall teams, for example, let's say volleyball. Their kids come in 2 weeks, a week before school starts. They live together in the dorms. They have bonded. They've got that team chemistry. They love each other already before they even set the court. We don't really get that opportunity until spring break. Yeah, our kids practice together in the fall, but it takes a while to get to know one another for the new kids to get used to get to know the returners. But this next week is even more crucial in team chemistry, team bonding, things like that.
And from your perspective, how enjoyable is it to kind of see that start to develop and that bond start to build? And what can that do for a team, as the season goes on?
I love it. I love watching it. I love the kids getting to know one another. I love watching the kids mature throughout the year. And I think, again, it is crucial for the rest of the season. You don't have to be best friends with everybody on your team, but it is just so crucial for players to like one another and get along with one another. I think it's even more crucial for girls, actually. I think it's important to them.
Yeah, there has to be that mutual respect. Like you said, you don't have to be friends with everybody, but you do have to respect that the work gets put in and, to avoid that conflict, because you're going to have the back of somebody at some point in the season, and they're going to have yours as well. And that's really kind of invaluable to have that time together to build.
That's right. You don't have to be your best friend, but you know what? Between the lines, you better have her back.
Right.
100%.
Right. So, Coach, looking at your team this year, really what's going to stand out to somebody who hasn't seen you play, or it's been a while since they've seen you play, when they see BW play this spring? What are people going to notice first and foremost about your squad?
I think they're going to notice our pitching depth. We're going to have great pitching depth. We have two of our captains who pitched last year, Hannah Welling, Nikki Camerati, coming back. We also have 4 new pitchers coming in. We have freshman Marissa Hall, freshman Ashley Zwick, freshman Sarah Fredrickson, and we have freshman Taryn Welty, who's out right now with an injury, but hopefully she'll be back before we get rolling.
Well, the old adage in baseball is you can never have enough pitching, and if you think you've got enough, go get more.
That's right.
You did that. You had a lot coming back, but then you went and you recruited more, and you got 4 young potential stars in the making. Talk a little bit just about how important it is to have that kind of depth when – any given day somebody might not have it, and you need to go into the bullpen and you need to pull somebody out and put them back, put somebody else into the spot, into the center of the diamond. You can rely on them to go out there and do what they have to do.
Definitely need the depth. In fact, I was talking to one of our newcomers last week, and I was like, this is a different level. You're going to have a lot of great alleys, but there's going to be times where your stuff's not going to work, and you just need to be able to mentally handle that. But the fact that we have 5 or 6 girls we can go to, it's going to be crucial. It's going to help us a lot. It's going to make my decisions easier. When you're only 2 or 3 deep and you're playing double headers, and if a girl's struggling in the first game, you don't want to eat up innings
for the
because
second.
You're going to need that girl for the second game. Now we have the depth where we don't have to worry about that. If somebody's not having their best day, we have a friend of hers, another teammate we can go to and just kind of keep rolling them in, until eventually it's going to click for one of them. We're going to be in good shape that day.
It's nice, though, from a competitive standpoint, that you continue to roll out the pitchers and you really don't give the opponent a break to really bust open a game and potentially ruin a doubleheader for you.
Correct. And like you said, we brought pitchers in. Pitching was our #1 priority in recruiting last year. We're not the fastest team in the world, so next year speed was our #1 priority, and we've taken care of that. So, we've had 2 really good years in a row, and we know we're headed in the right direction. We're getting even better.
Yeah, no doubt about that. We're looking at outside of the pitching, you mentioned some younger girls there, but who are some names that maybe not are known now, but maybe by mid-season or the end of the season, people are going to look at this young lady or that young lady and go, wow, she's got a heck of a future ahead of her. She's young and got years of eligibility left. She could be really something really special. Who are you really looking forward to seeing compete?
Well, we had a couple all-conference freshmen last year, and that people do know their names, but a couple of those girls, like Emily Mao was all-conference, Brady Bricker, our catcher, was all-conference. But I think people are even going to see how much farther they've come this year. And then we also have, a few freshmen, and I don't want to hesitate on saying some of the names, so I don't want to leave kids out. But
right.
But there's several of them out there that, like, we have our center fielder, Lexi Coggins. Last year, one of our co-captains, Macy Leach, was our starting center fielder, all-conference player. She broke her tibia, I think it was the first conference weekend of the season. So Lexi got to see some action in center field, and she progressively got better as the season went along. And I think that experience last year is going to make her take a big jump this year in center field.
Yeah, it's nice to have that talent come in and produce early, but also still have a chance to get better. And if they're already all OAC caliber, you know that the sky is potentially the limit.
Right, exactly.
So looking at your trip to Arizona a little bit more, besides from a team chemistry standpoint, from a competitive standpoint, what are you hoping to see out of the game, of the opponent, or when you get to play another opponent? From competitive standpoint, what are you most looking forward to seeing when your girls take the diamond?
Well, we obviously we're going to try to play 12 to 14 kids out there regularly, not even counting pitchers.
Okay.
We're talking about position players. We want to use that basically, even though we're trying to win, that's kind of got to be our spring training to get ready for conference season back here. So we're gonna plug out different lineups, throughout the week, and give several kids an opportunity to get some game action. That way, when they come back here for conference season, they feel a little more confident because they've seen some game action and they're ready to go when we get back into conference.
Speaking of the conference, what do you think it's going to take for you to get to the top of the conference and have a run to a championship this year?
We are going to have to be very disciplined. We are going to have to be very smart, and we're going to have to play solid defense. I told the girls in practice a couple times already, we're not the type of team that's going to go out there and score 7-8 runs a game. We have very good pitching, so we're going to have to rely on that pitching, and we got to play good fundamental defense, move offensively, move people along on the bases. When we have a chance to advance runners, advance them, have good quality at bats, and we're going to have to win games 3-2, 4-1. We're not going to, not that we won't win our share of games 8-7, but that's not going to be the success of this team. We're going to have to keep the scoring low, use our pitching as an asset, and just try to score enough runs because we know they're going to hold the opponents down.
Yeah, you don't want to get into too many slugfests.
No,
is what you're saying.
We do not. Yeah, not this year's team.
Not this year, but maybe in the future, you
right.
at least one-sided on the slugfest. Then you don't want to be giving up 7, but if you can get 8, you'll take it, right?
Yes. The nice thing about when you have quality pitching, you're usually in every game. And now, if you could just manufacture a run or two, that might be the difference.
So, looking at your specific sport, and I don't want to get too far ahead of the season that you have in front of you, but how do you recruit softball when you're competing at the same time as the girls that you have to be looking at to bring into your program in future years? How do you balance recruiting and coaching in the middle of the season?
That's a good question. In fact, I had a recruit visit today, and she was talking to me about her high school season. And I'm like, I will do my best to get out and watch you, but keep in mind when you're playing and practicing is when we're playing and practicing. So what I'll do is I am out every weekend, almost every weekend in the summer, going to travel ball games because most quality good players are not only playing for their high school team, but they're playing travel ball. So every weekend, Friday, Saturday, and a lot of times even on Sunday, I'm going to tournaments in Columbus, Toledo, Pittsburgh, all over the place, and just trying to see as many kids as I can. I will also try to make an effort to get some of their high school games because high school season goes a little longer than ours. Typically, they go into June, especially if it's a good team. They'll go a little farther, so I will make an effort to get to their tournament games. We also have a lot of girls that I'm recruiting who are volleyball players in high school and basketball players in high school. And I'll bet you I went to a dozen volleyball games last year, probably a dozen basketball games this past high school season.
You know something a little bit about coaching basketball as well. Before I let you go, what do you think of the women's basketball team here at Baldwin-Wallace getting back to the national tournament once again?
It's great. I'm glad they made it back. In fact, you're going to talk to Lily Edwards here in a little bit, but we're rooting for them, and I think they got a fairly favorable draw, so hopefully that'll work in their favor, and maybe they can win a few more games before the season's over.
That's what really makes this place special, isn't it? That camaraderie within the athletic department where teams go out in mass and they'll support other teams, and you kind of feel it in the spring a little bit, and the basketball team feels it when they get Ersprung rocking. That's really what makes BW special.
For sure. I can tell you at least 12 to 15 of my girls have been to the last couple home girls basketball games against John Carroll, last week during the regular season, and they were there Tuesday night, last Thursday night before they, of course, went on the road. And I had a lot of them went over to John Carroll on Saturday.
It's awesome.
And supported the girls, so it's nice to see that.
And it'll be nice to see them reciprocate it when you get down the stretch in those critical games as well, out at your beautiful field out off of Bagley Road.
Exactly. I know baseball team actually came out to one of our big games last year. It was actually before practice. They had a couple hours, and there was probably 10, 12 guys out there cheering on, and the girls love that.
Oh, absolutely. That's a great camaraderie to have, especially in the springtime when it can be difficult to go out on those really cold days. You need that extra support.
We don't get as many fans as some teams because nobody wants to go out there when it's 38 degrees. It's cold. It's
No,
cold.
you don't even want to be out there sometimes,
right.
do you?
You're right. I don't want to be out there. You're right. It's cold.
Well, Coach, best of luck in Arizona as you start your season coming up here next week. And thank you very much for taking the time. Wish you all the best.
Thanks,
and hopefully
man.
Down the road we'll be talking to you about an OAC championship just like we will the women's basketball team tonight.
Appreciate it, sure.
All right, that's Tom Spencer, the head coach, head softball coach at Baldwin-Wallace University. Thank you very much for his time. Once again, his Lady Yellow Jackets will be getting their season underway when they travel out to Arizona at the start of this month. So